It's just getting ready to go live. So today's Gemara, today's broadcast is sponsored by Reb David Zolti, Mishpachtoi, Leil Nishmis, our dear Reb Moshe ben Reb Chaim Zolti, who was a guiding light for our Mishmedrash while he was in this world and in the next world. We're sure he's being a tremendous advocate on our behalf, and he should be made for all of us in the Mishmedrash and all of Klal Yisrael, that we should all have Hatzlacha beyond our wildest expectation.
Amen.
And on that note, does anybody know what the winning numbers were for the 649 from Tuesday
night?
It
wasn't ours. Sorry.
Okay, just
I'm more than happy to hand it off to someone else if they have better.
No, you're doing a great job. Reb Moshe, you got to help us out over here. Right? Moshe Zoltan is going to advocate for us, so he'll make sure that we picked the right numbers. We have to make sure that they pick the right numbers.
Oh,
he never bought.
Hold on a second. It was a group ticket.
You don't know? Okay.
Oh,
maybe
I didn't know we had a group ticket.
Yeah, it's for. Okay.
Gotta tell everybody because we all have
who's
to
included in this ticket. Everyone who started this year has been coming regularly. When we started after the Siyum, we started brachas. Whoever was coming regularly to shul is included in this ticket. And I don't know. I guess maybe I should post it on the chat just to clarify again.
I'm wondering if
I didn't know about this. I wouldn't mind winning.
You didn't know about it. We mentioned it so many times.
I don't know. I didn't know about it either. But if it's worth $40 million, we might as well put it in writing.
Yeah. Writing? Okay, I'll post it on.
It's already perpetually recorded on YouTube. Is YouTube admissible in court?
No, but you're going to have to define clearly who the regulars are.
Okay, so I'll do it on.
So you won't have a machlokes. So in the
Halavai, we should have that machlokes.
Amen.
We're going to win. Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, I'll post it.
Hold on. When do we have to pay in? We don't have to collect money?
It's okay, whatever. We'll worry about that after. I'm paying it's $6 a week.
Are you going to pay from the winnings?
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to get my camera working again. Now, Reb David, you said that your father was against buying lottery tickets. So he
wasn't against. No, he wasn't against it, but he would never buy a lottery ticket
because he didn't need it.
Even when he needed it, he wasn't. And there was a time when he really needed it, but he would that wasn't.
When he was driving to New York for Pesach, before Pesach, to pick up his sister-in-law in a car without heating, he needed it.
Yeah.
You read the book, I see, huh?
No,
I listened to you by the Levi.
Oh.
No, it was one of the grandsons, I think that's it.
One of the grandsons said. That's right. And then he needed to. So he was free. He had to stop off by rest areas to thaw out his fingers.
Yeah. Believe me, there was. I remember the poverty of the, 1950s. Even when I went to yeshiva, when I went to Baltimore, if you're hungry, the meals weren't that great. So if I was hungry, people were hungry. A lot of people went to the canteen. I never had enough money to buy anything of substance in the canteen. But we had a pear tree in the yeshiva, and I used to climb it to get a few pears off of it. And that would sometimes take care of my need for something decent to eat.
Wow.
But there was poverty. I remember I used to collect nickels and dimes, in order to buy a hockey stick I had my eye on for 89 cents. Okay.
Wow.
And it took me months and months to get that money together. And I didn't have the chutzpah, but I asked my father for money for a hockey stick in those days. So there were years of poverty.
I know that.
And you know what? And I didn't feel poor because there were a lot of families like that.
Wow. Rabbi Bartelt read over a letter from his wife that your father was barely able to afford a used bike for his daughter, for your sister, but he bought Mrs. Bartfeld a brand new shiny bike.
Not Mrs. Bartfeld, it was Mrs. Rottenberg.
Mrs. Rottenberg. He bought her a brand new bike for her birthday.
Yeah.
There was this very wealthy man. He was like in his 90s, very old man, very, very wealthy man. And his nephews asked him, Uncle Beryl, tell me, how did you make your millions? He said, how I made my millions? Let me tell you how I made my millions. I remember when I was a child growing up, I grew up during the Depression in the 20s. People were so poor, we struggled so much. And I remember what I did was I saved up like for 3 weeks from little side jobs that I had just to survive. And I remember I put away a penny. I was so excited with that penny that I went out to the fields where the farmers were, and I was able to buy one apple with that penny. Not even the best apple, but I bought an apple with that penny, and I buffed it and I shined it. It was really appetizing. And I came into the downtown core, and I sold it to a wealthy man downtown for 2 pennies. With 2 pennies, I went and I bought another 2 apples. It took 2 weeks. I already had a quarter saved up. And then I had a very wealthy uncle who died and left me $1 million.
Good one, yes.
Sagt der Heilige Gemara. Sagt der Heilige Mishnah, lo yetze isha b'machat hanakuva. A woman should not go out with a needle that has a hole in it, because a needle that has a hole in it is not a tachshit, it's a tool. And since it's a tool, it will be usher to take out. A woman is not normally one who wears a tabas with a chosim, so it's not considered a tachshit for her. So therefore, she may not go out with it. Not with a chuliyar. And Rashi says mefarish b'gemara. And the Gemara is going to tell us it means something like a pin, like a brooch. And v'loy b'chavelas, and not with a chavelas. And the Gemara is going to tell us that's a bundle of spice. It was their version of deodorant. And not with a little glass that had oil, balsam oil in it, that although it was very sweet smelling, it was also very explosive. As we learned about the story with the mother-in-law who told her daughter-in-law to go straight to hell. The way she said it to her was, why don't you smear yourself with balsam oil? And then, by the way, can you light my cigarette for me? And the daughter-in-law went, kaboom. And if a woman goes out with any of these chayeves chatas, divrei Reb Meir. So there's a chayev chatas. So right away, we have to understand, why would there be a chayev chatas if it's not the derech for women to go out wearing these items? So then wearing it for them should be considered shaloi kedarka. It's not like the derech of how it's worn. If that's the case, it should not be chayev chatas. It should only be usher. So the Rav explains that since women would sew, it was normal for them to carry, like a tailor, a needle on their beged. Now, the other items in why it's considered the derech for them to carry, the Gemara is going to explain. Divrei Reb Meir, the Chachamim poitrin b'chayveles u'v'tzlucha shel plait. The Chacham pater. What does it mean? The Chachamim pater. It seems to indicate that it's pater from a chayev chatas by these 2 things, but it will still be usher. Amar Ula, Zokt Ula, v'chilufein b'ish. The exact opposite applies to an ish. What v'chilufein b'ish means, Rashi says, a tabas koi is going on a ring, meaning that the tabas sheyesh alav chosim, if it's the tabas that has a chosim, im yotza potter, v'im ein alav chosim, v'yotza chayev chatas. So if you look at Rashi carefully, it says even if a tabas that has a chosim on it, it's not mutter for a male to walk out with such a chosim. It's im yotza potter. Toshvis says the same thing. The chilufein bish Omer ben Tam the chayev chatas koi, but it still would not be mutter l'chatchila for a man to go out with a tabas that has a chosim. However, good morning, Akiva. We were all
morning.
We knew you got through the border, but there's another 7 hours of driving after you pass the border. So Baruch Hashem, we know you're right. It's
Mazel
nice to
tov
see
on the
you.
border. Baruch Hashem.
Thank you. 7 hours of the border, 4 hours of sleep, right?
So how does it feel to spend $1.45 at a time? Right, that's the the exchange. That's about $1.45. Right. Okay. You know, money is much
good. No, it's good to come back.
Yeah, so you're assuming that he's shopping in a dollar store for the kala.
Money is less viscous in the United States. Here, money flows like oil. There, it flows like water. It goes much faster. We were just talking before that Moshe Zoltan is going to be poilers for us, big Yeshuas, especially Binyonei Parnasa. Okay.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, let's do the Gemara right. So Omer ulu b'chulufein b'ish. So Rashi and Tosfos seem to say that although it's not chayiv achatas if a person wears a tzvah sheyesh al chaysim, however, if it's still going to be usher to do. The Rambam actually learns that the chulufein b'ish is that a man is allowed to go out lechatchila with a tabas sheyesh al chaysim, even though it's not really a piece of jewelry, it's a functional item, yet since it's a derech for him to wear, it's allowed to be worn. And though the chashash that you say by a woman, that she might take it off and show it off on the street, you don't say that by a man, and that's why it's mutar lechatchila. Why am I elaborating on this? Because this is what Reb Moshe, from this Rambam, Reb Moshe is matir people to wear wrist watches on Shabbos. Because he says, you don't have the if you don't have the gzeira of hilt, according to the Rambam, which mutar lechatchila, and there's no gzeira, they're going to show it off. And even though it's a functional item, we still say that it could act as a tachshit for a person, and it's not called carrying, similar to a signet ring. That is the reason why Reb Moshe holds that you could be samech to wear a watch on Shabbos. And we're talking about a functional watch, not a piece of jewelry. A functional watch you can wear on Shabbos. He says, although B'nai Torah should be machmer, but he's matir someone to wear a watch. Now, if it's a gold watch and you would wear it even though it's broken, that's a different shiloh. Here we're talking about the type of watch that's not a fancy watch. It's only for the function of telling time. And even there, Moshe says that would be allowed based on the Rambam. Alma kasover ula, whatever it is, you see from here that ula holds, called mizid chazil ish, loy chazil isha. Meaning, just because it's the derech for one member of the human race to wear these type of things, such as a woman, that doesn't make it a derech of halbasha, or derech of levisha for a man. And therefore, just because a man wears a signet ring, you cannot say that if a woman wears a signet ring, that's also called derech malbush, and it would not be usher, and vice versa. Nasav Reb Yosy, Reb Yosy, Haroyim Yotzim Bisakim. The halacha is the shepherds, if they didn't have what's called a shena manta like we have, so they had to improvise to protect themselves from the rain if they were having the rain. So they would go out, they would wear sacks. Now, a normal person who's not a farmer in the field would never walk around with a sack. But nevertheless, since for Royim, a sack is considered derech malbush, therefore we say lo haroyim belvad amru ela kol adam. For any person, since Royim wear such malbushim, so too everybody else can wear such malbushim, even though it's not the derech for others to wear. So Rashi says, alma you see, alma gab the loy regili bay, even though this particular person might not wear it, a regular person might not wear a sack, but migud lakabe hai tachshit, since for one person it's a tachshit, such as the roya, lakabe hai nami tachshitu. So if that's the case, why don't you say that since this ring, this signet ring, is a tachshit for a man, it could be a tachshit for a woman, and vice versa. A normal ring, since it's a tachshit for a woman, why can't it be a tachshit for a man? So therefore, the Gemara says, Ella shadakun shalaroyim. Sorry. So it's shver because our Gemara seems to say fakert. Ula says fakert. Reb Yosef, because Ula holds noshim am b'fnei atzmahim. Women are considered like a nation for themselves, And even though from one type of person to another type of person, if for one type of person it's derech malbush, we say it's considered derech malbush, but that does not go across gender lines.
Now we know why women aren't supposed to learn Gemara.
It doesn't go.
I think we have a name for the shirt today.
Well, they were being kind. I've heard it said they're a species of their own.
So it's interesting because the Reb Elephant spoke out that this is actually relevant, might be relevant to a shaila. The halacha is, even if you were yoitza already, because of kol yisrael a raven zelozeh, you could be moitz somebody. So, for instance, if I already made a bracha, I already made kiddush, and somebody didn't, I'm allowed to make kiddush to be moitzi somebody else. However, a woman could not make kiddush to be moitzi a man. I'll call Yisrael a raven. So, could be part of the reasoning for it is because noshim is an amif ne'atzm. They're distinct. I think
They are Friday night though.
What is the nusach of the
Friday night? The woman is allowed to make kiddush for a man.
She is? Yeah, because she's mechuyev.
As far as I know, yeah.
That's because she's mechuyev.
If she's not mechuyev.
But we're allowed to make kiddush for a woman. Why could we make kiddush for a woman if she's another nation?
It's a good question. But let me ask you a question. What is
Once
the
I already made.
You're right. You're right. You have a good point. That was just Rabbi Elephant's Tushtal. And Ken should answer about Rabbi Elephant because it's just a recording. But you're asking good. What is the nusach of the policy on the French that was written up not too long ago, I think in Harper's days, that they're an equally but distinct society? Is that the nusach in the declaration? They had a declaration about the French. So women are distinct but an equal society. Zog to Gemara. And what that means is formally they're a distinct but equal society. But when Trudeau's the president, they run everything. So that's similar to what women are. Officially, they're a distinct but equal society, but really they run everything. Zog to Gemara. Eisvei Abai Rashayla. Hamoitzi tefillin. What happens if you find multiple pairs of tefillin lying on the street on Shabbos and you don't want to leave them? So the halach is machnison zug zug. You could put on one pair at a time, which is derech malbush, and you could bring them in. A woman could also put on a pair of tefillin and bring it in. If you're going to tell him that noshim are an am b'fnei atzmon, and therefore just because it's a derech for an ish to wear tefillin, that doesn't mean that an ish could wear tefillin. This mitzvah of tefillin is a mitzvah that a woman is not mechuyev. So therefore, it would not be derech malbush for a woman, because a woman would not be mechuyev in tefillin, because tefillin is a mitzvah to say shazman grama. The whole mitzvah to say shazman grama noshim beturas. So why is it that women could wear it? It's up to Gemara. Hasum kusavar Reb Meir. First of all, Laila's man tefillin hu, the Shabbos man tefillin hu. So therefore, havalei mitzvah to say shalois man grama. The whole mitzvah to say shalois man grama noshim chayavis. Reb Meir holds that women are mechuyev in tefillin, and if women are mechuyev in tefillin, it's the regular derech malbush. For Reb Tosfos, even if women are not mechuyev in tefillin, why can't they wear it? It should still not be a problem, because in the worst case scenario, if they're wearing it, they're carrying it not the normal way. Because if it's not the derech for you to wear tefillin, the normal way to carry tefillin would be in your hands. So by a woman putting it on, that would be called carrying it shaloi kederech. And bibalt, there's a factor of bizoyin tefillin involved. Maybe we would be matter a woman to carry it, even though it's not something that she would wear. It's not a taksha for her, but since she's carrying it not the proper way, it's called kalachayad.
Would that apply to Rashi's daughter? Isn't we told that she wore tefillin?
Well, Rashi's daughters must have held that you're allowed to wear tefillin. So then it's considered derech malbush, and that's what the Gemara is saying here. That it is considered derech malbush. What Tosfos is asking, even on the tzad that it's not derech malbush, they should still be allowed to bring the tefillin in since they're carrying it kalachayad. So Tosfos is
practically speaking, this can only. I'm sorry. Practically speaking, this could only be talking about women that do not cover their hair.
Because otherwise, how can they wear tefillin?
Otherwise, how could they wear a tefillin shel rosh?
Well, if a woman wears a hat, they can wear tefillin shel rosh just like yeshiva bachim wear hats.
So then let me ask you this. How could a woman bare her arm in public to put on tefillin shel yad? This is in public, right?
You can't slide it up under your sleeve?
No, ball, she's putting it on.
You could put it on, but you can keep your sleeve closed and just push it up.
I have a more obvious question. How do you make this stim with the Gemara on last off with Rav Safra?
You were supposed to forget that. It was yesterday.
Right. It was just yesterday.
What does the Gemara say about Safra?
That you can't wear tefillin outside because you might come to carry them on Shabbos. And then so
yeah, no, this is all. You're right. Probably not supposed to. We're speaking about a diavad case.
But according to Rav Safra, you're chayav.
Yeah, so they suspend their gzera in order to avoid a bizayin of tefillin.
So you have to suspend two gezeras because there's the gezerah wearing them outside because you might come to carry them, and there's also the issue of an ice, right? We had the issue that, right?
I didn't hear what you said. Cut out for a second.
Tefillin is an ice, right? Shabbos is an ice, so we don't wear on Shabbos because of the bizayin. So you have to really suspend two things. You have to say we're not concerned about tefillin being an ice, and we're not concerned about you might carry them, when the whole purpose here of you putting them on is to carry them out of the Rishus HaRabim.
The issue of the ice, I don't think, is a factor, because that just says that a woman's not mechuyev in tefillin, but that doesn't mean she can't wear tefillin.
I'm not even saying not just the woman, the man. The woman is even a secondary thing here. It just seems that this is.
The question here is merely, is it derech malbush? Now, if it's derech malbush b'choil, then it's derech malbush b'Shabbos. Derech malbush wouldn't be impacted by whether or not you're allowed to wear tefillin on Shabbos. The only reason why there was a question in our Gemara of whether or not you're allowed to wear tefillin on Shabbos was whether tefillin is a mitzvah saseshes man grama, and then a woman is never mechuyev in tefillin. But a man who is mechuyev in tefillin automatically for him is a derech malbush, even though he doesn't wear tefillin on Shabbos. That will not make tefillin not derech malbush on Shabbos, just because he's not supposed to wear them. By a woman, it'll have a much bigger impact, the fact that you can't wear it on Shabbos, because that fact will make it that she doesn't wear it at all, because women are paturais on the mitzvah saseshes man grama, so then for her tefillin won't be derech malbush. But this whole Gemara is b'diavad. We're not talking about the chilas someone wearing tefillin outside. We're talking about a diavad situation where, of course, they're going to be suspending. That's the whole chiddush of a moitiv tefillin, machlis and zug zug, is they'll suspend their gzera because we want to rescue the tefillin. So the Gemara says that a woman, if it's not the derech, it wouldn't be allowed. Frek Toisus, why not? If she carries it in her hands, I understand, then it's not allowed, because then she's carrying it like a regular masu. That's mamash deraisa. But if she'll wear it, that's called carrying klachiyat, because women normally don't wear things, don't wear tefillin. So Zog Toisus, even the masihu, since it is a masu for a woman, and even if she carries it klachiyat, the yochel lova the chiv chatos, it can come to chiv chatos. So here we have, because of zoin film, the Rabbanan are willing to look away from gzeres. But there's a red line that even there are certain gzeres that even the Rabbanan won't walk away from, even though we have a special situation of the film is mutal b'zoin. So if she could wear it and it's derech malbush, then they'll look away from the fact that she wasn't supposed to wear it on Shabbos. But if she's gonna wear it and it's considered a masoi, then just kalachayad, but we're getting pretty close to a real deraisa, then the Chachamim would not have allowed it, because that's getting too close to the danger. It's too close to the edge of the cliff. Zok Gemara, but the Amrit, I'm sorry, so we finished that already. So Zok Gemara, Mera holds that a woman has a regular chiyuv of tefillin, like Rashi's daughters held, because they hold that Tzai Shabbos is man tefillin, and Tzai night is man tefillin. Now the Gemara is asking this same kasha that I just asked, that Tosfos just asked, on a woman wearing tefillin. It's asking on a woman wearing a ring. If a woman wears a ring that a man normally wears, and she wears it on her finger, which is definitely not the normal way to carry a ring. Normally you carry a ring in a box and you carry it. If she's wearing a ring that's not normally made for her, that should be like carrying something kalachayat. Therefore, v'haitzah kalachayati, the haitzah of this ring should be considered kalachayat. And if that's the case, Zot Rashi Amai Chayeves Chatos. Why does the Mishnah say that she's chayiv achatos, which is what Reb Meir said. She didn't carry this male ring, this masculine ring, the way a person would carry it as a masoi. She call it moitzi davar she'ein tachshit loy. Moitzi nice to be a dime, but if you're carrying somebody's ring, you're not going to wear it. You're going to carry it in your hand, and she's not doing that. So according to Reb Meir, why in the mission did he say there would be a chi of chatos? Omer Reb Yirmiyah, the isha gives baris askinon. We're speaking about a woman who was a business lady. She was in charge of tzedakos, and she had to send letters that were sealed. So she actually during the week did wear such a ring for function only. So therefore, for a woman like her, if she wears such a ring, that's not called carrying klachiyad. It's not a takshit for her, but it's not called carrying a klachiyad. And therefore, if she wore a man's ring, which had a stamp on it, that's not considered klachiyad. Omer.
Yes, sorry, just something I'm missing. If a ring is being used for business, why are you allowed to wear it on Shabbos if it's not?
Well, that's a very good question. So let's go back to the main case. The main case is what Udo said, the chilufein b'ish. A man is allowed to wear a functional ring, like a business ring, like a signet ring, even on Shabbos, right? So that's really where we have to ask the kasha. How could a man wear a signet ring on Shabbos? It's business. It's not a decoration. So what we garnered from there was that a man it's his derech for him to wear something, even though he might be wearing it for a certain function, that's still allowed. That's considered a malbush for a man, and therefore a man is allowed to wear it on Shabbos. And that's how Reb Moshe built out that you're allowed to wear a watch on Shabbos. It was precisely from the observation that you're making. It's not really designed to be jewelry. It's designed to be a klisha malach b'leisher, so to speak. But since it's a derech for men to wear it, we look at it by a man as a normal derech hamavish. It's like a tachshit. That's it. So you by asking that question, you're highlighting to us how much of a chiddush that is. We're saying a man could wear something that's normally not perceived as jewelry. It's perceived as a function, and not just a function that you do b'choil, but still that's considered an article of clothing for a man. Well, you're muted. David Lightman is talking, but he's muted. Let me unmute you. Okay, David, what were you saying?
Looking at your watch for the time is not an isser on Shabbos. You're not doing anything on Shabbos.
You're right. You're right. So you're saying this is a much worse function. The function of a watch is a function that's mutter to use on Shabbos. The function on a signet ring is something you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. That's a very good point. That highlights the chiddush. But nevertheless, since it's something that a man wears normally, even though it's only for a function, it's something that he's allowed to wear on Shabbos as a baggage. And indeed, it's a big chiddush because of what you're saying. Okay, Zok Tehillah Gemara Vayter. Omer Rabba, Teratz Ta'isha. So you've explained to me why there'd be a chi of chatos if an isha wore a signet ring that she normally doesn't wear, because it's speaking about a lady who's a gazbar, so for her it's normal to wear it, and therefore she's carrying it properly, not kalachiyat. But ishma ikal amemer, we said the chilufein b'ish, meaning if a man wears a woman's ring, it'll be chayiv achatos. Why would a man who wears a woman's ring be chayiv achatos if he's wearing it in such a way where males don't wear rings? So clearly in those days, it was not normal for a man to wear a ring. And therefore the Gemara is asking, even if he wears his wife's ring, why is he chayiv achatos? He's not carrying it the way you normally carry it. It's normal not only for a woman who's a gizbaris. Normally, David Zoltan doesn't like when we take a mishnah that makes a broad halacha and then we limit it to only one specific type of lady. It sort of undoes the whole message of the mishnah. So Rava fixes that problem. The Rava says all women, if her husband tells them, honey, could you please take this ring and put it in the safety deposit box or put it in our safe? So the way she'll carry it there is not in her hand. It's normal for her to put it on her finger and wear it to the safe. Until she gets to the safety deposit box or whatever safe she locked it up into. And on the flip side, sometimes a woman will give her husband a ring. Listen, my ring got damaged. Can you give it into the jeweler to repair? So sometimes she'll give it to her husband. To take it to a repair shop. And how does he carry? He doesn't put it in his pocket. He puts it on his finger. Is there anybody out there whose wife's ring would fit on their finger?
I was thinking the exact same thing. Not only that, I wouldn't be caught dead wearing it.
But it was a derech to transport, and since it's a derech for those short periods of time to transport things, therefore it's considered the right to carry it, and therefore it's going to be usher.
I've done it many times because I lost a ring once in Miami and I never forgot it. And I take the ring, I take the diamond, and I put it, of course, I put it on my pinky so that it should fit. And I turn it over. I put the stone.
Why
on
don't
the
you just tell
inside.
people? Just tell people that you're Drake.
That I'm drunk.
No, you're Drake. You tell them you're a rock star. Just tell people I'm a rock star. And then you can wear anything you want. Thank you, Mommy.
No, I don't take a chance of losing those things.
So the Shiloh of Chuvas, Torah Lishma, asks, how could you do that? Isn't it a problem of Lysilvash? You're not allowed to wear the beggar of a man's not allowed to wear the beggar of a woman, vice versa. So
you're not really wearing it.
You're asking me how I would answer that question?
You're not wearing it as a lavush.
I wasn't asking on you, Chas v'sholom. I'm asking on the Gemara.
My answer is that today men wear rings.
Oh, I thought it's because it's pikuach nefesh. If you lose your wife's ring.
Yeah. I'll get shot.
They're not wearing it as a lavush. It's just a functional thing. I
hear. But the Shiloh of Chuvas, Torah Lishma, Rabbi Elfin spoke out, says this is a massive chiddush. And I'm going to bring a raya against this chiddush, that the issue of a silbush is not just to wear a woman's beged. It's to wear a woman's beged if you're trying to impersonate a woman, and vice versa. So if you're trying to dress and drag, that's when it's a problem. But if you're still wearing it and you're not trying to dress up like a woman, it's not a problem. The reason why I have it shver is when I was freshly married, I got invited to spend the Shabbos by my Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky. And I was sitting there Friday night by the table, and there was another guest, a woman that was there, and she was wearing a bathrobe by the table. She was wearing it over her clothing. Don't worry, she was wearing a bathrobe over her clothing by the table, and she was telling Reb Shmuel that whenever it's cold, I love wearing this bathrobe. It's a man's bathrobe. It's so warm, it like warms my whole body. So he says, "Vos, you're wearing a man's bathrobe? Quickly run upstairs and take it off." So there, she was definitely not trying to impersonate a man. I mean, if she was doing a very bad job. And
this is a very old machlokes.
The what?
The wearing a malbish ish or isha when you don't have a kavuna to pass yourself as one or the other is a machlokes achorim.
What do you do with all the Beis Yaakov plays where the girls dress up as boys? They wear men, right? They dress up as men.
Well, even though they wear pants, I know they wear skirts over the pants. They don't let them wear regular pants, I don't think.
But they still dress up like men. They're doing it bedafka to dress up like men.
Okay, but I don't do it on the internet.
Yossi, maybe
on the internet, is that what you said?
Yossi, maybe
we don't count them for the block minion either.
Maybe the case of Shmuel is that it was Marasayan also, so meaning
it could be. Yeah, it could be. But I was just sharing a story. It seemed to be different than what Rabbi Elephant said.
Well, it definitely is a chiddush that if it's not intentional, then I mean, I hear.
I just still remember from 30 years ago the look on her face. She says, "Go take it off right away."
But what happened to chivalry? What happened to I will take my coat off and put it around your shoulders? You're taking away some of the ability of the man to take care of his woman, right?
I'm not understanding. You're asking why Shmuel would make her take it off?
Yeah, why would he make her take it off?
I think he actually told his wife or asked his wife to give her a sweater. So I don't think he wanted to freeze her. I can't hear Akiva. Akiva, you muted yourself. Okay,
no, it's a good child, Akiva asked, because we have a tendency when you're out walking.
No, I just did.
Give your coat to your wife.
To give your coat to your wife.
Right.
So I guess according to the Shitas that you're not allowed to do it, according to the Shitas that are Picha Choice, you're not allowed to do it. It would be a problem.
Wow.
So practically speaking, are we allowed to put a coat from a man to a lady when they're outside walking and it's cold?
I think it's a pikuach nefesh question.
For the man. Pikuach nefesh for the man. Or kavod habriyah is for the woman.
Somebody once told me if you're walking and you're cold, just walk faster. That's what someone told me as an eitzah.
Okay, I'm gonna take it upon myself to ask the Rav today, and I'll come back tomorrow.
Thank you very much. You can ask the child if you're allowed to do that. Clearly, no one's trying to impersonate the opposite gender. It's just because someone's cold. Would you be allowed to do that?
Just times two for the sake of everybody else. Just ask the Shiloh for yourself, not on behalf of everybody in the shir.
No, Yossi bavarned me. Yossi already told me how to ask it so that it should come out good.
One may not go out with a chuliyar. And one may not go out with a kavelos. My chuliyar, Omer Rav michvanta. What is a michvanta? So Rashi tells us that a michvanta Rashi doesn't say, Rashi says nushkar. It's like a pin. Al shem shemechavenes v'kasheres miftachei achaluk. The article explains that she used a pin to pin up her blouse, and it closes her blouse. So she's not allowed to go out with that. And koivelis, what is a koivelis? Amarav chumrasa the pilon. Chumrasa the pilon is something like deodorant. The chenom rabasi chumrasa the pilon. So what does Rashi say? It was some type of knotted fabric that had in it a sweet smelling, a good smelling herb. Berecha herb, it smells good. Uvalaz, it's called balsamu. The isha sharecha ra, a woman who has bo, tayantayala. A woman with bo would wear this to mask her bo.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, the thing before, I forgot what the word was, for closing her blouse. What's the problem with that? Like, why would we worry? She's not going to take it off because she's not going to open her blouse.
That's
right?
a beautiful kasha. The article asks that, I think I saw him asking that. And he says, well, obviously, it was a type of area where she was buttoning up that it wouldn't be a problem for her to take it off and exposing herself. That's the right word for this subject. So maybe it's her sleeve. It's somewhere where there would actually be a chashash over taking it off. That's a good point. I was thinking, should I make that distinction or not? So thank you for asking it, because in fact you have to make that distinction. Because if it's a pin that's holding something together that you would not want to open up in public, about that there would not be a chashash of dilma mishlof.
Sure.
I should point out that the Bala Tosfos, different Bala Tosfos than the one on the Daf, actually argue on Rashi for this very reason. They understood that there isn't any. This would uncover her, and for this reason it should be met.
So the machlokes is probably very simple. It was up over here by her neck, and the Bala Tosfos says "Dus tun auch nicht öffnen," and the Rashi "Dus make schon öffnen." Okay, I shouldn't blame my jokes on the Bala Tosfos. Someone's like, someone else was about to say something.
Yeah, no, I was saying when I was growing up, remember, grandmother used to have brooches like the key with a design, and used to pin it on. But that goes probably what we said in the beginning, that it comes like a jewelry, and they're allowed to carry jewelry today.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says.
For the tie.
That's right.
In the old days, right?
A tie pin and a key, so let's see what the Gemara says. So the Gemara says as follows. She should not go out with the chevelas, which is that brooch, that pin. That's a malacha d'oraisa. So that's not just a chashash that you're going to take it off. That's considered a masa. Div Reb Meir. So it's in the middle of the road. So this is mamish a machloiket min hakotza ala kotza. Zok to Gemara. So I'm sorry. The Rashba asks over here. The Chachamim say that Lloyd say the Miyotza Ptura, and Rebbe Eliezer hold it's Yotzes Isha b'Chavelos lechatchila, right? So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the machlokes. But my committee, Rav Meir Savar Masayu. So to the Raisa, Rabbon Savar Tachshu the Dil Mashal Machav Ashel Yisuyei. Rebbe Eliezer Savar Man dakalimrime. Who's going to wear this deodorant bundle? Isha sharecha ra. A woman who doesn't smell well. A woman who's bo. Isha sharecha ra lo shalva machva. If she's only wearing because she smells, there's no way in the world she's going to remove that and unmask her smell and flatten the block around her because of her odor. So therefore, she definitely won't take it off. That's a very strong, literally, a very strong reason. So why would the Chachamim aser, or why would they say, why would they aser because of the Gzeir of Dilma Shalfa? There's a very good tanya. There's no way in the world a woman would take it off. So the Rajba says something cute, and the Reb Yosy gives it a header with a twist. The Rajba says that once she's wearing it, everybody already knows she reeks. So because of that, she has no problem taking it off. It's like wearing a sign, I have BO. At that point, it doesn't matter what she takes off. And Reb Moshe says, Adarabba, that would actually induce her to take it off because she wants to say, oh, I'm not wearing this because of BO. I happen to like it. Here, take a look at it. So if anything, she's attempting to take it off because she's trying to convince people that she doesn't. She's wearing a big sign, I wear BO. No, I just like the way the sign looks, but it's not really, I don't really need it. So that's why the Chacham would hold. In fact, there is a gzer that she might take it off. I can imagine, would you like to see it? No, I don't want to see it. It's just perfectly fine. I don't want to see it. I can see it perfectly from here. Zok Tehillah Gemor weiter. V'atanya we learned, Rabbi Lezer Poiter, v'cheveles, uvetzluchish shopleiten. Here we just quoted Rabbi Eliezer saying, Ichu yoiches, Ichu becheveles lechatchila. We had a different brayso that says Rabbi Lezer Poiter, becheveles, uvetzluchish shopleiten, to which indicates that it's not mutar lechatchila. So in the first brayso, Rabbi Eliezer holds it's mutar lechatchila. Here, Rabbi Eliezer seems to only say it's only mutar b'di'eved. Zok the Gemara like kasha. Ha kikoyad Reb Meir. Ha kikoyad Rabbanan. When Rabbi Eliezer made his comments, whose comments were he responding to? Kikoyad Reb Meir. If Rabbi Eliezer is responding to Reb Meir's comments, who said chayiv chatas, Omer lei potter, because Reb Meir said he's chayiv. So what's the opposite of chayiv? Potter. So he used the word potter. Avada, he meant that it's mutar lechatchila. But he's trying to use a word that's the opposite of the word of his bar plukta. So responding to Reb Meir, he said potter. But Kikoyad Rabbanan, when he was referring to Rabbanan, the Amri potter Abalasar, who paskin potter Abalasar, Amri iu mutar lechatchila, he said it's mutar lechatchila. The question is, where we have a brisa where Rabbi Eliezer was responding to Reb Meir, and that's where he says potter b'chaveles. But where is the brisa where Rabbi Eliezer is directly responding to the Chachamim? Zok the Gemara, Umay Reb Meir. Where is the brisa with Reb Meir? Where do you find that he's responding to Reb Meir? The Tanya lo yitzei isha b'mafteach shebiyada. A woman may not walk out with a key. B'myotzes, but if she went out with a key, chayev eschatus. Div Reb Meir. Rabbi Eliezer poiter b'chayveles u'v'tzluchas shopleitim. And Rabbi Eliezer paters b'chaveles u'v'tzluchas shopleitim. So there's a little bit of a communication disconnect here. Koiveles man b'char shmei. Rabbi Meir is talking about a key, and Rabbi Meir is talking about a kaveles. What's going on over here? Zok the Gemara chisur mechsur avachiyatani. That brayso needs some editing. And Allah is Yosei she'isha b'mafteach shebiyada v'miyotza chayev eschatos. And we add in the words v'chein b'chaveles v'chein b'tzluchas shopleitim lo'iseitzei v'miyotza chayev eschatos div Rabbi Meir. And on that, Rabbi Eliezer responded, Rabbi Eliezer poiter b'chayveles u'v'tzluchas shopleitim. Amed vor mamurim. When does Rabbi Eliezer argue on Rabbi Meir? That's k'sheyesh b'hem boisim. If these things have in it actual perfume, the pleitum that we're saying is only if it has perfume in it. Ein b'hem boisim chayeves, then it would be chayev. And Rashi explains beautifully. K'sheyesh b'boisim pleitum yesh b'hu chumrasa. She has this little pouch. It has to be full of boisim. The kibun the yesh b'boisim tachshit hi lezu sherei. Since it has perfume in it, that makes it into a tachshit for her. Rabbi Eliezer's shita is, when is she allowed to wear it lechatchila? That's only if it actually has in it perfume. But if it doesn't have any perfume in it, if it's just the container itself, chayeves, because that she's not going to wear. That's not considered a tachshit. So now it takes us to a new chiddush. So if she's carrying this pouch, and this pouch, even though it's not containing perfume in it right now, it has a decent smell because it contained perfume in the past, but it's not the actual perfume. Omer Agudah Broadcasting, from here you could learn Zoy Semeres that Amotzi Oichlin Pachas Michashir Bechli Chayiv. You can bring a raya from here that if you have a container of food and in order to be mechuyev al toitzah b'Shabbos, there's actually a shear, and Rashi tells us that the shear of food, if you have a piece of food that you carry out on Shabbos, it won't be a malacha deraisa unless it's at least a shear of a grogris, which is the shear of a fig. Unless it's that shear, you won't be chayiv. Now, what if you had that in a keli? What if you had that shear in a keli? It wasn't a full shear, and you had it in a keli. So what would be the halacha? So let's see Rashi. Zoy Semeres, how did I tell you? Ein ban boisim chayeves. Alma, you can see from here the Kashavar Beliezer that Amotzi Oichlin b'Shabbos b'chli pachas mikashir. You're not mechuyev if there's less than a gregus of food. It's also rather, but you're not chayiv if it's less than a gregus of food. However, chayiv mi ala kli. If I carried out this less than a gregus of food on a plate, I'm chayiv for carrying out the plate. You don't say, since the whole purpose of the keli is merely to contain the food, and therefore the keli will be bottled to the food, and the keli will not have its own identity, so I would not be mechuyev for carrying out the keli, because the keli is just bottled to the food, and the food doesn't have a shear to be mechayev me. And therefore you say, mechayev aleh. And why would you say the keli should be bottled to the food? I never wanted to take out the keli. The keli was just merely my hechetipsa to be able to carry the food. So we have a raya from here that if you carry less than a shear of food, you'll be chayiv for carrying the kli, and you don't say that the kli is bottled to the food. Because if the kli was bottled to the food and there was not enough food to be mechayiv me, I wouldn't be chayiv at all. How do you see that from our halacha? Because the ein ba'boisim kapachas michashir bechlidami, even if there's absolutely no besamim in there at all, we still say it's like there's a pachas mikashir of besamim. The minimum share of besamim is a mashabu. If there's zero besamim, that's pachas mikashir, but it's still considered like there's besamim here. Rashi says because the keli itself absorbs some of the smell of the spices, and because of that, the keli itself is also considered a pachas mikashir of spices. Nevertheless, and the pachas mikashir of spices, which is just the smell that's in the keli, that would not be mechayev somebody for carrying. However, since we say that the keli is not bottled to the smell, we're saying over here that you're chayev for carrying out that receptacle. So the ha'ein b'boisim kepachas mikashir b'chalidami the ketani chayeves, and the Brisa said here that you're chayev if it's ein b'boisim, and ein b'boisim is like pachas mikashir, and therefore you see that the keli is not bottled to its contents. The keli remains independent, and that's why there's a chiyah for carrying. Rav Ashi Omer, no, you don't have a raya. Normally, if I have a bowl that has less than a groigris of food on it, the bowl would be bottled to the groigris, and I won't be chayiv for the bowl. Why over here do I not say that the receptacle is bottled to the smell of the spices? There's no remnant at all of the spice. It's just the smell that's absorbed in the walls of the keli. That you won't say the keli is bottled to it, and the keli is distinct on its own, and you're chayiv for bringing it out. But if you have a keli that's holding an actual food, it's just less than the mandated share of food, there maybe you would say that the keli would be bottled to the food, and there would be no chiyuv for carrying out that keli. Okay, now we're getting into a nice Agudah to Gemara. Veracious Shemonim Yimshachu. The Pasuk in Amos is talking about the Jews that pasha themselves, they pampered themselves, and it says in the Pasuk, Hashoishin b'mizr keyayin. They drank in these nice flasks of wine. Veracious Shemonim Yimshachu, and they would smear themselves with oil. So we're going to learn what they were doing over here. What were they doing? What oil were they anointing themselves with? Zeh plaitun. This is that plaitun stuff, which is the balsam oil, which had a very nice smell to it, that's what they indulge in. Mazav Reb Yosef, if you're going to say that this is a tainug, because the pasuk looks at them like they're indulging and pampering themselves, well then it says af al plaitum gozer Reb Yehuda Mabava v'lahoydulai. Right before the Churban, we learned there's a whole bunch of gzeres they made. They made takanos. They made you can't have fancy weddings. So Reb Yehuda ben Bava wanted to also outlaw the use of this plaitum, because that was also a certain indulgence that he wanted people to refrain from because of the impending Churban. The Amrit Mishum Tainug, and if in fact you're saying that the reason why they used it was of Tainug, well, isn't that what they were trying to outlaw? Why would they not have agreed to that Isser? They were also trying to eliminate Tainug. Omer le Abaye. Abaye told him, well, if you're going to ask on the first part of the pasuk, let's look at the second part of the pasuk. Actually, if you're asking from the second part of the pasuk, let's look back to the first half of the pasuk. They drank in these fancy wines. What exactly did they do? Rabbi Ami Rabasi had a machloikus as to what this meant. Chadomer Knishkinin, and Rashi tells us that Knishkinin was a type of keli that had two spouts to it, and they would shake it around, and the wine would go from one spout to the next spout. It was a weird type of thing that they were doing, and they would actually throw glasses of wine back and forth. They would almost like be juggling glasses of wine. I'm just wondering, probably what that is that the purpose of that is probably to aerate the wine. I know when you drink fine wine, you're supposed to twirl it around in your glass, and they make these special glass bottles that you could shake it around in to aerate. So it could be it was aerating it, and that's to bring out the taste of the wine, which would fall under the category of tainug, of enjoyment. So it's not just partying like juggling, it's tainug. And I'm saying that for a reason. So Hachanami, the Asr, are you going to say that should also be Asr? Because that's also in tainug that they would outlaw prior to the Churban Beis Mikdash. Rabbi Bar Huna, Ikloi Levei Reish Kalusa. Rabbi Bar Huna came to the Reish Kalusa, the Shasa B'Kanishkinin, and he saw that they used it. So clearly they didn't outlaw it. So you're asking me a question why they didn't outlaw Plaitun. I'll ask you back why they didn't outlaw Kanishkinin. And there was no protest there. Ella, what you must say is, Kol Mil Dispei Tainug, Ve'is Simcha. If it involves enjoyment and it enjoys Simcha, only those items are Gozer Rabbanim. Things that are just Tainug, but less by Simcha, like Gozer Rabbanim. So you see, Tainug and Simcha are two distinct things. Now, would I be able to, based on those parameters, give you a list of what's Tainug and Simcha, what's not? No. But what we know for a fact is that aerating wine is Tainug and not Simcha. Smearing this type of balsam oil is Tainug and not Simcha. And all the gzeres that were made, such as you can't have this Chilas Chasanim and you can't have the Irish Hozov, those were all considered Tainug and Simcha. Rabbi Elvin brought out from here is that we know on Shabbos the mitzvah is Oinig, on Yom Tov the mitzvah is Simcha, and sometimes it's hard for us to make that distinction. But you see, there's two distinct things. Now it's interesting because we say Ein Simcha el b'basar v'yayin, so yayin is definitely Simcha, but could be this special preparation or the special activity that he did with the wine would not fall under Simcha; it only falls under Tainug. Okay, so now we're getting into the tough Agudah though. Hashoichin, not tough to understand, tough to absorb. Hashoichin al midos shein usruchen al arsoisim. So Pashup Shat, that means I'll read the ArtScroll, says who lie upon beds of ivory, stretched out on their beds. So they're like relaxing on their comfortable beds. Omer Reb Yosy Simon teaches Balamed. What this means is, and Sruchim, the literal touch is stretched out. And Reb Yosy Simon is going to learn Sruchim as meaning smelly. They made it smelly. Why? What did they do wrong? They would get up in the middle of the night and they had to go to the washroom. And they didn't want to schlep outside to the outhouse. Their floors were made out of earth in those days. So they just went to the bathroom right there on the floor in their bedroom. The fact that they were Urim is not relevant. It just means that they didn't bother, they don't want to get dressed to go outside. So they just relieved themselves right there in the room. Megadet Rabbi Vo didn't like that shot in the pasuk. Why? Because the pasuk says later on that because they did this avera, they went into goals. The pasuk says because of this, these people who did that will go into goals first. Mishum da mashtinin mayin b'fnei mitayseim arumin yigol b'resh kolim. I'm saying it's not such a nice thing to do, but that should be so harshly punished that they go into Golos first. This is what we would call a swinger. They would have couples join together and party together. The doif can be doiseim zubasu, and they would put their beds together. And lo yaledu machlifan sheseim zemzeh and umasrichin arsoisa b'shich vazer sheina shalahem. These parties made it that their beds got dirty with body fluids that were not from their own selves. So that's a horrible affair. And in fact, that justifies very much that they went into Golos first. Omer b'vov, Omer b'misnisatana, gimel devar ma'yivin es ha'adon l'de'anius. There's three things that causes someone to go poor. Ve'eluhein hamashtin mayim b'fnei mitasei arim. But it doesn't cause you to go into Golos, of course. It causes anius. Umezalzel b'netilas yadayim. And v'she'ishtoi mekalalosi b'fanov, and if his wife curses him in his face. So let's just analyze these things. Mashtin mayim b'fnei mitasei arim. Rashi says it's a miyas to think, and the oni that's memune on anias, the sar of Nevias, his name is Novil. Novil means filth, so he's attracted to filth. So dirt lends itself to anias. If someone is squeaky clean, that is a school for Ashiras. There are those who say that this all leads to mace, because someone who's an oni is chashuv k'mace. The next item is umezalzel b'netilas yadayim. Someone who's umezalzel b'netilas yadayim. There are those who learn that this netilas yadayim is referring to mayim achronim. That's not how our Gemara learns, but there are those who learn that it means mayim achronim, which we wash because of melech sedoimis, and melech sedoimis, if it gets into your eyes, will cause blindness, and assume it's chashuv k'mace. However, we learned that it's referring to netilas yadayim before you eat, and Rabbi Elfin spoke out that the bracha al netilas yadayim is Rosh Tevis oni. So you see that there's a direct connection between being makbid on netilas yadayim and anias. And the third thing is v'shishta mekalasa b'fanav, his wife curses him to his face. So you might ask, why is that his fault? So the Gemara is going to discuss why it is that his wife cursed him. This is a Gemara that we should not show to our wives. Zot Gemara, Amash ben Mayim b'fnei mitasei arim, Omer Rava, lo yamin el damahader apei lepuria. That's only if he's aiming his stream towards his bed. That's very disgusting. If his back is facing his bed and his spray is going far away from his bed, less laba won't be a problem. And umahader apei lepuria nami, and even if he's facing the bed, nami lo yamin, that it's a problem. That's only if he's relieving himself on the ground, so it stays there exposed in tzmias. If he uses a receptacle for it, less lamba, this whole halacha does not apply. Now, what about the mizalzel b'netilas yadayim? We're saying mizalzel means not that he's not makbid on using a lot of water. It means he doesn't make the netilas yadayim at all. He doesn't wash. But if you just use the shear, Rashi says, you're doing it just a revius, which is 100% halachically correct, less laba, that would not lead to anias. It's not true. So what we're saying is so this means if he uses less than the revius, but if he uses a revius, it won't be a problem. I use tons of water, a lot more than revius. They give me, Hashem gives me, I have very good stuff, which means to say that using a lot of water leads to a shiris, but not that if you didn't do it, it would lead to anias. So from a chista, you see that if you use a lot of water, you get a shiris, but not necessarily the opposite way. Now, what's the problem with that? Amarava, you know why she's cursing you? Because you don't buy her enough jewelry. If she curses you out, you cheapskate, you don't buy me enough jewelry, that leads to anias. However, there's one caveat. That's only if he has the money, but he has the money, but he doesn't want to. That person will become poor if he doesn't buy his wife jewelry. But if he doesn't have the money for it, no one says that he has to put it on his line of credit or borrow to buy his wife jewelry. So
he buys his wife jewelry. She's got to worry about carrying it out and showing it to her friends. And
Yeah, they're very happy to have such worries. Zal the Gemara weiter. Dorish Rava, the Red Rav Eloi. Rava, the son of Rav Eloi, darshan. Maidich Siv. So now we're continuing to darshan this series of psukim in Amos. V'yomer Hashem Yan Ki Gavu B'nai Sion. The B'nai Sion made themselves big. They made themselves big. Shahayu Mahalchus B'Kaimis Kufa. They were walking with their head up high. But they lachnin to Yisgard. The next verse of the pasuk says they went with their necks stretched out. Shahayu Mahalchus Eikav B'Tzad Goydel. Since they're looking up high and they're not watching their steps, they have to walk very slowly. So when they don't take long steps, which also is somewhat alluring. We know that we say achet shechatol besikar ayin and ayin tuyos. These are all things that we klap achet for. And the next word is umisakrais with a sin umisakrais einayim, with leering eyes, with looking eyes. What does that mean? They have in molon kuchlo einayu. What they would do is they would dress up. They would doll themselves up. They would doll themselves up with makeup to be attractive. Umaramza, and they would wink and try to attract the bachrim. So they were being machdi bachrim. Holach v'tafaf, they walked. It looked like they were floating. What does that mean? Shahayu mahalchos arucha b'tzat ksara. They would have tall women walk beside short women, so the tall women were more pronounced and alluring. And again, these were all techniques that they used to attract the wandering eye of somebody who shouldn't be looking. And with their legs, they did something called a chasna. Now let's look at what the pashut touch of a chasna is, and then we'll see how the Gemara darshans it. So to a chasna, he touches, they would spew venom. With their feet, they would spew venom. Omer Reb Yitzchak, what would they do? They would put beautiful spices in their shoes, but they wouldn't automatically smell. You had to crush them first. And what they would do is they would walk around in public spaces where bachrim could be found. They would stamp on the floor, meaning crushing the spices and forcing them out of their shoes. The spices would shoot out of their shoes and hit the boys, and that created a tremendous connection to the boy. It would pump in the Yetzer Hara into the boys like a poison of an angry snake. So what's the problem with that? I'm pretty sure that Rashi says, I don't know if the Gemara says it, I think the Gemara says it later on. I think the Gemara says it but first, but Rashi tells us we were not talking about single girls. Single girls were supposed to do that. They used to go dancing on Tu B'Av, they were dancing in Yom Kippur. This is married women that were doing this. So I believe a lot of the tznius shmuzin use this Gemara to tell girls that if you don't dress tzniistic, you're causing the boys to do affairs. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but our Gemara are not speaking about single girls that are looking to catch the eye of a boy, l'shem shemayim. It's referring to married women who should not be doing this.
Why can't we say that it's talking about single girls not on Tu B'Av, not on days when it was designated to find a wife? Because
every day is a mitzvah to find a wife. When your daughter was in Shidduchim, did she say, Tati, wait till Tu B'Av, it's okay, no, don't call Shidduchim, it's fine. No, Tati, where's my resume? Tati, how come you didn't call Shidduchim? Tati, what's taking me so long? Tati, it's your fault.
Right, but we don't do it in public in a marketplace. We don't do it in a way. There's a time and a place to do everything.
Well, nowadays, we wouldn't even do what they did on Tu B'Av.
Yeah, if we did, it would solve the shidduch crisis.
So nowadays,
it says that in those days, all the girls got married at 6, 7 years old. So they were little girls that got married on Tu B'Av. They were little girls that tried to attract attention. Look at me on Tu B'Av. And by the way, on Yom Kippur.
That's right. That's right. So again, Rashi says it. Rashi says over here, Hoylech v'tafif, it's the last Rashi on the skinny lines. Shetirat sofal Rosh Chaverta, who noila unesuyeis hoyu, lefichach mesaper b'gnusa. So since they're married, that's why the Torah is writing bad about them. Could be means since they're already married, the Torah could write bad about them and ruin their shidduch. Maybe that's Rashi. Not sure. Okay. So Zok the Heilige Gemara. Zok the Ela Gemara. So what is the terrible onions that they got? My Puran is saying, Kedidorish Rabba Bar Ula. While Yatachas Boisim, instead of their sweet smelling, muck, they'll be rot. Makia, they'll be rot. Which means Mokam Shoyu Misbasma Yitzboy, the places that they were make themselves smell good, which is they put these some of them in their feet. Nasa no Mokam, their feet rotted out. So they had very bad foot odor. They had very bad foot odor. The Tachas Chagura, and instead of having their big, beautiful sashes that they had, the beautiful belts that they wore, Nikve, they were all bruised. Mokam Shoyu Chagurais Bitzilzel, the places where they wore these nice belts, Rashi's bendel, no, a nice bendele. So they wore these beautiful bands, these big belts around their waist. It became bruised. Not from the coffin. The Tachas Maisa Miksha, and Maisa Miksha means like using the word Miksha like Miksha Tasas from because they would style their hair and build it up like a big solid thing. They'd make a whole binyan out of their head to attract people. Karcha, they went bald. They lost their hair. Betachas pas yogel machgorisak, and instead of the pas yogel that they had, they had to clothe themselves in sackcloth. What is pas yogel? Zok the Gemara, psachim hamavin l'dagila, the openings in their bodies that lead them to have ecstasy, and we know which places those are. That's the Mokam Erva. Now, rather than opening them up to do Averis, now they're going to be wrapped in sackcloth. Ki tachashoifi. They suffered with ki instead of their beauty. What does that mean? Instead of having the beauty that they had, kiva, they had kiva. And Rashi's kiva means kiutra leicha. I guess it means decay and infection. Let me see how he touches the word kiva. Sores. They had sores instead of their beauty. And then it says, Hashem kotkad b'noi Sion. The Vesipach is in brackets because the pasuk spells it with a sin, not with a samach. Vesipach Hashem kotkad b'noi Sion. What does that mean? So let's see. The pasuk that she says is Hashem will afflict the heads of the daughters of Sion with tsaras, with lesions. Omer b'yisrael b'chaninim alamet shaparcha ben tsaras. These women also got tsaras. Ksefacha v'sipach Hashem katkad. Ksefasam in the parsha of Negoyim laseis v'lasapachas. So the v'sipach means Hashem was inflicted them with Negoyim. Vashem pischon yara. And the last thing in the pasuk it says Vashem paschein. Let me just read the last of it. Paschein yara. What does that mean? Hashem. Let me just read what it says, how he touches the pasuk over here. And Hashem will cause their openings to pour. What does that mean? So to Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel Chadam Shenishpechu Kikisai. They spilled out like a kisai, meaning they were zavos and they had a lot of re'iyas. They were constantly bleeding. The Chadomar and the other Mandam said Shenasu Peschein Kiyar. They grew so much hair in those places that they became ugly, and men were for echo to them. Omer Bido Omer Anshi Yerushalayim, the people of Yerushalayim, Anshi Shachasayu, they were two-faced people who did horrible things, but spoke about them in a very politically correct way to conceal the disgustingness of their activities. Very similar to the way politicians speak. And I'm going to give you an example. They have a concept in labor called an unfair labor practice, and if you warn your employee that your company is the type of company that if it's unionized it wouldn't survive and they might end up losing their job, or if you told your employee if we unionize I'm going to have to shut my company down, even if it's true, so it would be a big benefit for your employee to know, that's called an unfair labor practice. So basically, I can say that if you give $5 tzedakah, I could say that's called an unfair labor practice, and now it's an unfair labor practice. So they give names to things that are not properly describing what they are to make them seem better. So this is what the people of Yerushalayim were guilty of. A person would tell his friend, what did you eat today? It wasn't referring to what they ate. It was referring to other things that we don't have to mention. is it bread that was needed a lot, or bread that wasn't needed a lot? And Rashi says pas hamela would be a basula. I'm sorry, pas hamela would be ena basula, a baula, and pas hamela something dough that was not needed a lot would be referring to a basula. B'yayin gordeli with white wine, or b'yayin chardeli, or with dark wine. In other words, what type of woman was it? Was it dark or was it light? B'masav rochav or b'masav kotzer? In a big, nice bed, were you eating on a big, nice couch or in a narrow couch? In other words, was she fat or was she skinny? B'chaver toiv or b'chavera, meaning was she pretty or was she not pretty? You know, in Lakewood they used to say, tell me, I want to know, does her father have a lot of Yira Shemayim? And how is her tzura sadaf? Those were the two questions that were asked. So that's exactly what the Gemara here was referring to. Of course, all of their intention wasn't to the literal meaning of what they were asking. They were just talking about this. The wood of Yerushalayim used to be all of cinnamon. So could you imagine how good all of their bonfires and their barbecue smelled? Eretz Yisrael always smelled beautiful. All these trees were hidden. Only a tiny small piece of cinnamon wood remained from Yerushalayim. And you could find it in the storehouses of Timtsoi, the queen. I guess we could stop here.
Oh, yeah.
I scared so many people away along the way. I'm not sure.
Why is the issue that it says Anshe Yerushalayim? You know, it speaks.
Because that's what we're talking about. It was the people of Yerushalayim. That's what used to go on.
The other one, why? Because they had to come across as frumer. In other words, people in Tel Aviv would speak specifically.
Oh, I didn't see where you were going there.
But Yerushalayim.
South of Lawrence, this is how they speak. But in Agudah, we don't speak that way. I hear it. Oh, I better shut off the recording.
Good idea. Good idea, because I want to ask you a question, Yossi.
Okay, let me shut it off first. Stop live stream.